The 2025 NFL offseason is off to a blazing start because the second straight day we're talking about a possible trade for an NFL star. The Rams informed Cooper Kupp last night that they will be seeking a trade immediately. And so on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about should Baltimore trade for Cooper Kupp, what a trade might look like, what I think about the possibility of getting the former Triple Crown winner in purple and gold. Before we dive into any of the content on today's show, first off, thanks so much for being here. Second off, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. I look back at last year, and last year's like record in February of 2024 was 316 likes. I know we could beat that. I know we could beat that in the first, 3 hours? You guys help me out. Make sure to like the video. Let's break some records today. So Cooper Kupp let the world know this late last night, saying, I was informed that the team will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. I don't agree with the decision and always believed it was going to begin and end in LA. That was the first paragraph of a very long tweet, and that kind of set the NFL world ablaze. Again, just hours after Myles Garrett did earlier that day. And my first thought on this entire situation, because when I see things like this happen, I automatically start thinking from a Baltimore Ravens lens. And my first thought is, I wouldn't be mad if Baltimore traded for Cooper Kupp, but also in the same breath, I'm not sitting here pounding the table for it, right? I know he's not the guy that he once was. I know he's injury prone. And if you just look at the last 4 years, right? 17 games in 2021, almost 2,000 yards eclipsed. That season was absolutely nutty. But since then, he's played, 33 games in 3 seasons, averaging 11 games a season. It's obvious that injuries have taken a toll on his career. And also, I just feel like you'd give up something for a guy of his caliber. And sure, when he's healthy, when he's on the field, he's still a good wide receiver. But you also might have to pay him as well. We're going to get to the financials in just a little bit. But first thought on this whole thing is sure, he'd be fine in Baltimore. I'd like him in Baltimore, but I'm not sitting here screaming at Eric DeCosta, screaming at John Harbaugh, screaming at Steve Bisciotti and saying, make this happen right now. Because it'd be great, but I don't think it'd be franchise altering. You tell me, though, would you trade for Cooper Kupp? Let me know in the comment section down below. Give me a yes or give me a no. This will be the pinned comment on today's YouTube video. So YouTube might throw you an ad break in just a couple of seconds. Just go down to the comment section. This comment will be pinned right at the top and respond with a yes or a no. Let's talk a little bit more about the trade target, right? Turns 32 years old in June, and as an aging wide receiver, that's not the greatest position to invest in for a guy who's getting a little bit older. Whichever new team does trade for him, they would acquire $20 million in salary for 2025 and almost $20 million for 2026 at $19.8 million. And like I said earlier, right, 33 games in 3 seasons, that equates to 36% of the games over the last 3 seasons he's missed. And they say what? The best ability is availability. And unfortunately, Cooper Kupp just doesn't have that ability any longer. What you would have to give up for him isn't anything crazy. Like we talked yesterday about Myles Garrett, and when you see the haul that you're giving up for that guy, 2 first-round picks, possibly a 3rd or a 5th, you're thinking, my goodness, what will this team have left? And it's not the same story for Cooper Kupp. And this isn't what I have a problem with trading for Cooper Kupp, right? If it was just a 2025 6th-round pick and the financials were all worked out, and it was a little less than he was already making, sure, I would do this in a heartbeat just to get that guy on the team. But it's what you would have to pay him, like we talked about earlier. If he doesn't restructure, $20 million for 2025 and then $20 million for 2026. And frankly, this team just doesn't have that coin right now, okay? His dead cap hit, if he was a post-June 1st release for Los Angeles, would be $14.7 million. For 2026, it'd be $7.5 million, but they would save $15 million. And that's why I ultimately think that he's going to end up being cut. Because I think you look at his salary, you look at the $20 million, and unless he agrees on a massive reconstruction of contract with whichever team is trading for him, then I don't know if any team's going to give up anything for him to pay him that money when they could probably just wait it out and say, you know what, if Los Angeles is looking to trade him, they could just cut him post June 1st, say $15 million. So he's probably going to be available to pick up after being cut anyway in the summer. Okay, so I think for the price that he's at right now with his contract, unless it's a massive restructure, I'm not doing it. Okay, and coming up, I'm going to talk a little bit more why I think he not necessarily fits with the Baltimore Ravens. But before I do that, I got to talk about something that fits in your life, fits in my life, and that's our amazing sponsor at Prize Picks. And ladies and gentlemen, the big game is almost here. That means it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks. It is the best place to win cash while watching the big game. Prize Picks is also giving away one free pick for the big game, where one of the starting quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, will only need to throw 1 yard to win. And if you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you can win real cash. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Prize Picks is giving away one free pick for the big game, and that's Patrick Mahomes. Like I just said, he only has to throw 1 yard for that square to win. All you got to do is choose one other thing, right? And if you know ball, like I think you do, you can walk away with some cash on Super Bowl Sunday. So sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, run your game. Again, that is $50 instantly when you play $5. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS. So let's talk a little bit more about why I don't think he fits with this team. And I think it's because when you look at this past season and you look ahead to 2025 and you're talking about what this team needs in terms of a pass catcher, in my opinion, it is a big, deep threat receiver with high point ability. Right? I think that's what this team was missing this last season, right? They have a ton of guys who are fairly sized, like Rashad Bateman. Nelson Aguilar, he's a little bit bigger, but he's skinny. And then Zay Flowers is 5'10" with 2-inch heels on. And so I just think that what this team needs is something different, a different type of wide receiver, a different threat at wide receiver. And I get it. Cooper Kupp he's pretty big. He's 6'2", right? It's not like he's tiny. It's not like he's under 6 foot. But I'm talking, I want a guy who's like 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", that can just go up Randy Moss style. Because again, that's not what this team had last year, and that's not at this point and at this moment what this team has going forward into 2025, okay? I'm going to talk about how they get that wide receiver on the roster. Before, I got to ask you guys to hit that subscribe button, okay? We are getting closer to 28,000 subs on the channel. We made a ton of progress yesterday. I'm going to make the same call to you guys today. We're 37 subs away from 28K. Need you guys to help me get there. So if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. This is the best place for everything Baltimore Ravens on YouTube. So again, if you haven't already, join us today. When you look at the wide receiver free agents that are available right now, there's a couple names that tickle my fancy a little bit, like DeAndre Hopkins, Josh Palmer, Keenan Allen. We've talked about those guys from time to time on this channel. Obviously, T. Higgins, if I had my pick of the litter, would be the number one, but obviously Baltimore's not going to be able to pay him what he's worth. But in terms of a deep threat, tall, big, high-pointing wide receiver, I think you got to look to the draft to find that this year, especially just with the contract situation that Baltimore has right now. If you look at Kiper's wide receiver draft rankings, you'll see 1 through 5, and all those guys are really solid talents. I'd be really, really excited if any of those guys ended up on this roster, but I want to look at number 6, at Mr. Savion Williams out of TCU. And let me tell you guys, this guy is absolutely a freak. 6'5", 225 pounds. We already know that he looks great in purple, so I don't need any more convincing. Okay, and I think the great thing about Savion is he's not a guy you're going to have to spend a first-round pick on, right? He may be not even a guy you have to spend a second-round pick on, okay? I want those first 2 picks in the draft to go defensively. I want to get an edge rusher. I want to get a cornerback. And then I want to look at this wide receiver room, and I want to find the part that's missing, okay? The part that I believe Cooper Kupp wouldn't be able to fill and that Savion Williams would be able to fill, okay? So I don't know about Kupp. I do like the potential in Williams. Okay, that's just me. But I want to hear from you guys. Okay, I talked about the draft, talked about wide receivers. Name a wide receiver you want the Ravens to draft in the comment section down below. Would love to hear y'all's answer. So my final take on this whole thing, just to put a nice little bow on this Cooper Kupp segment, is Kupp at a reconstructed contract would be really interesting to me, but I just don't want him at this price. Right? If nobody trades for him, they cut him on June 1, and you could sign him and kind of get him out of the bargain bin for a nice deal, sure, I'm all for that. But at this juncture, at this point in time, I don't think he fills the necessary need at wide receiver that Baltimore has. Okay? Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. This has been the Ravens Rundown. I am your guy, Joey Peterson. Thanks so much for being with us. If y'all haven't already, make sure to like the video. We're trying to break some records. Make sure to sub the channel. Help us get to 28,000 subscribers.